Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Frank Fear with my partner, Mickey Plumley. And I'll tell you, Mick, we've been off for 2 weeks. It was good to hear that theme song again. Good seeing you. Happy New Year. Greg Christ, our partner, is under the weather. He won't be here tonight. We'll look forward to having Greg with us next Wednesday night. But Mick, Happy New Year's, and how you been?
Hey, been doing good, Frank. Thanks, and happy New Year's to you too, my friend. You're probably a little warmer than I am, although it's not bad here in Charleston. It's about it got up to 60 today, so I imagine you're in the 80s down there in your winter Florida home there. But it's good to see you again, my friend.
It is. We've been talking back and forth and planning for the show. A lot to talk about. We've got a lot of portal activity as as Coach Rodriguez continues to build a roster. WVU basketball, both men's and women's, big game tonight at 7 o'clock. I think that is the tip. The women are playing Texas Tech for the lead in the Big 12. And of course, we had a great game last night with Cincinnati, we'll talk about. And of course, the college football playoffs. And not just the college football playoffs, but Mick and I were mesmerized by that college championship on Monday night between Montana State, Illinois State. Great football. A lot to talk about. And we've got a great guest in Daryl Whitmore, just inducted into the WVU Hall of Fame just a few months ago. Tremendous two-sport star at West Virginia Mountaineers, maybe, arguably, the best pure hitter in Mountaineer baseball history and a terrific four-year football player for the Mountaineers under Don Nehlen. So we're gonna bring in Daryl in a few minutes, but we thought we would start, Mickey, by talking about the roster. And Darren, if you could put up, we'll start with the just a reminder. Let's start with the early signings from December, so we refresh everybody's memory about that, Mick. And I guess the theme that we want to share, you and I talked about this, is that both in terms of the early signing as well as portal, West Virginia is hanging in there nationally. And in fact, you can see it here. This is the early signing only. And you can see that West Virginia was ranked second by on three rivals in the Big 12. Number two, and Texas Tech, with all that money, is number one. And those are the top five in the Big 12, and West Virginia ranked 21st nationally. And you can see in the notables there, the most commits in the nation with 49 commits. Nobody had close to 49 commits. And so if we can show the other one, then we'll open it up and have a conversation.
Yeah, I tell you, Frank, that there you go. You're back.
As of 2 o'clock this afternoon, 10 guys in. And again, in terms of national competitiveness, on three rivals ranks so far, the portal class in Morgantown is number 20 and number four in the Big 12 behind Tech again with that money. They got, Mickey, they got the number one transfer quarterback and the number one offensive lineman, and then Houston second and Ohio State. So if you, we'll talk about some of the players, but your thoughts about how it's going so far, building a new roster, because that's essentially what we're doing.
Yeah, it's a rebuild every year now. The name of the game, the way things are going these days. The most impressive part of that slide for me, Frank, is the fact the 49 commits that we signed. I mean, more than twice as many as any of the other teams that you put up there from the Big 12, which just goes to show. I mean, it's a whole new game out there in terms of the players that you're going to be competing with is so different than, we call the show Then and Now. But back in ancient times when I played, we had, I think, 22 guys come in our freshman class, and 21 of the 22 graduated. So you didn't have that kind of turnover. I mean, if you can imagine, I don't know if the average fan has an appreciation for this or not, but you play a year, you're there, you develop some camaraderie with some guys, get pretty close to some guys, because you go through a lot more than just a season. You got winter workouts, you got spring practice, you got a summer program. And you develop a lot of close personal friendships during that. And all of a sudden, you turn around and you get ready for fall ball, and half of them are gone. I mean, the second graph you showed the 35 out. So 49 new ones in, 35 of the old ones out, and then 10 in the transfer portal currently. There's just a lot of churning of bodies. But one thing it shows me is Rich Rod and his staff is certainly earning their money out there looking for the absolute best talent. And, I'm still very impressed by the pedigree of the players that they signed during the early signing period. I did hear just on social media a couple other names, Frank. I don't know if you had them on your chart there or not. And this was after 2:00 today. But I saw the name of Tyler Stolsky, a linebacker from Florida Atlantic. It's not confirmed, but I saw an article that said he had signed, as well as Malachi Hood from Illinois. So there's a couple of late pickups that may or may not be joining the 10 that you had on the chart there. Did you have those two included?
No.
Didn't know if you did or not. Yeah.
And that's the
it changes
problem.
By the moment.
It does. In fact, just to add to this, I went on 3, and there's a kicker, Peter Notaro, who's from Alabama, that they had down. It wasn't Peter Notaro. It was Javis Minat from Texas State, safety. And it says he's 100% sure for WVU, but he's not committed yet. At least he's not on the list. And one of the things that I like is that it is dynamic. It changes all the time. So it gives you a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. But thanks for those new additions. Those weren't there at 2:00.
Yeah, shows you how quickly things change. I did see something on social media also about Notaro. It looks like there were some pretty strong indications that he liked WVU, he liked his visit. And the good thing about him is he's not only a place kicker, but he's also a punter. So he can fulfill both roles there.
Yeah, in fact, the data I have, and let's give the source, Vernon Bailey from On3 said that Notaro visited, a whole bunch of guys visited on the 5th. So they were just there. Minat, Notaro, Andrew Powdrell, Tyler Stolsky, the guy you mentioned, player just mentioned, he was there on the 5th. Devin Vass from Kansas State visited yesterday. So, the portal is open for a few more days, closes, I think, the 14th next week. And folks can continue to enter the portal, but a lot of work will continue. And so, but when you think about it, in fact, if we can put that last visual up again, Darren, from the portal. What's interesting about this is 10 guys more now, as Mickey says, 35 out. And if you look at the most out transfers at the very bottom, WVU is among the highest on that list. What's interesting about that list, Mick, is that there are a number of Big 12 schools there. Oklahoma State, Iowa State is on that list, Colorado. But you also have on that list teams that have lost their head coach, like Iowa State or Penn State or Michigan State, or teams that have struggled, like Oklahoma State, Florida State, Auburn. So the other thing, and you and I talked about this earlier this week, and I did not check this afternoon, but as of this morning, of the 35 players from West Virginia who have entered the portal, only 2 have been signed by other teams.
Wow.
And both players, Redwood and Boyce, both signed with the University of South Florida, which means that Shaheem White and others are still there. So it'll be very interesting to see how many of those 33 remaining players get picked up and where.
So let me ask you your opinion on something here, Frank. I have my own on it. Let's say that those 33 guys don't get picked up by anyone. If you're the head coach, are you taking them back?
Well, and I'm glad you raised the question, because you and I've talked about this, and that is what we don't want to see is every year create a new roster. What Rich Rod is doing, and I think the hiring of Coach Trickett is another indication of this. He's building a culture. He's building a culture that's based on hard-nosed football. So to answer your question, I don't think it's a matter of doing anything other than, if they don't get picked up, are they willing to do what needs to be done to be a Mountaineer? And given the guys they've brought in, and remember, this is the early signing, there'll be another signing period in February, and with the portal, whether or not there's room for them on the roster, because as you mentioned, just do the math. You're getting close to half of your team already. So we'll just have to see.
Yep. Again, we didn't discuss this part, but I kind of thought that Cam Cook was one of the more significant portal transfer ends that we picked up. The kid from Jack State that actually led the nation in rushing last year. I think he's 5'10", 5'11", right at 200 pounds, but he should be a real good addition to the running attack.
I agree completely. In fact, he's one of the guys that I had on my list. 1,700 yards, 16 touchdowns, 300 yards passing. The only downside is he only has 1 year of eligibility left, but he's one of the guys on the offense. And Michael Hawkins picked up from Oklahoma, 61% of his passes completed, 1,000 yards through the air, 205 yards rushing. He has 3 years left, so there's going to be competition in the quarterback room. And I think on defense, a couple of the guys that he picked up, I think, are going to show. Also, with a lot of eligibility remaining, Isaiah Patterson, linebacker, 3 years left from UNLV, 46 tackles, 1.5 tackles for losses, 0.5 sacks, and also Will LeBlanc, who's a defensive lineman. He D2 at Texas Permian Basin, also 3 years, 32 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 1.5 sacks. But yeah, I like this Cam Cook a lot. I think DJ Epps from Troy they picked up just the other day, 47 receptions, 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, also 23 kickoff returns for 560 yards. That's something we really, really need. So you said it earlier, and I agree. I think he's picking up good players. There's no question that Texas Tech, nobody has the money that Texas Tech does. And as I said earlier, they have the number one transfer quarterback, Sorsby from Cincinnati, number one offensive lineman. And right now, they're number one in the portal in the country. And they were, in the top 20 with the early signing. But the board has made it very clear WVU is going to be competitive when it comes to money, and they'll deliver on that with the donors. And so it's an exciting time.
Certainly is. And the quarterback that you mentioned there, I think we got his brother too on the defensive side of the ball, didn't we? They offered his brother as well. I think he was a linebacker, or was he a quarterback?
Yeah, let's put that visual up again if we can, Darren.
So they got a 2-for-1 deal there.
Yeah. And so
let's see, there it is.
Malik, cornerback.
Malik, cornerback.
Yep. Two brothers actually that we have, because one of the other Latimer, his brother committed during the early signing period. So cornerback from Wisconsin, plus his brother committed out of high school. So we've got the brother combinations there. So it looks good. So I think, Mick, things are looking up. We're going to continue to monitor this, obviously, because it's changing next week. It'll be different. And you talked about how different it was when you played back in the day, finished your last game with the 69 Peach Bowl. And for Daryl, playing in the mid to late 80s, I'm sure it wasn't all that different either. This is a brave new world today. We're so pleased to have with us our guest for this evening. Let's bring him in. Daryl Whitmore, two-sport star. How you doing, Daryl?
How you all doing?
We're doing great. What do you think about what Rich Rod's doing? He's in the top 20 in both of those.
I saw that. He's doing a good job. I'm hoping he's getting players that's going to fit his program, and we can turn this program around.
Yeah, we need to do that. When you think of the golden age of football at WVU, there are a number of teams that would fit the golden age back in the 50s, went to our first major bowl. And then, of course, the teams that Mickey played on with Bobby Bowden and Jim Carlin. But certainly the Don Nehlen years were phenomenal. Darren, if you can cue up the video that we have, some people are going to be very familiar with Daryl, and other people will not. And we've got a clip here from his induction ceremony, inducted as he was in September in the WVU Sports Hall of Fame. So if you can run that, it's about a minute. That'll be a nice introduction to Daryl Whitmore, who was a terrific baseball player and also a fantastic football player.
We live in an area of specialization when it comes to sports. Everyone does one thing, it seems, nowadays. But our first inductee did two things, and he did them at the highest level. Please direct your attention to the video boards as we enshrine Daryl Whitmore.
Daryl Whitmore was a two-sport standout in baseball and football from 1988 to 1991. The Front Royal, Virginia native played 2 seasons of baseball in right field with the Mountaineers in 1989 and 1990. He was named to the All-Atlantic 10 first team and to the All-East Region second team in 1990. Whitmore owns the school records with a .678 slugging percentage and a .481 on-base percentage. He set the school record with a .392 career batting average, which now ranks second all-time. He was drafted by the then Cleveland Indians in the second round of the 1990 Major League Baseball draft and played professionally from 1990 to 2002. Whitmore played in 112 games in 3 MLB seasons with the then Florida Marlins. Whitmore was a 4-year starter at safety on the Mountaineer football team, recording 14 career interceptions and left as the career leader in passes broken up with 21. In his first collegiate game, Whitmore caused a fumbled punt and blocked a punt, resulting in 2 WVU touchdowns. In 1990, he started all 11 games as a junior. Whitmore finished with a team-leading 4 interceptions and had 3 interceptions against Cincinnati, setting a new Mountaineer Field record. He was named AP All-East and honorable mention All-America.
I'll tell you, Daryl, I don't know how you're still walking after that. After you tumbled in there. Wow.
Trust me, I'm feeling it every morning when I get up.
Congratulations! What a career! And I'll tell you, you're one of the guys that get tremendous pride. Mickey, Greg, and I talk about it all the time. The guys that have put on the gold and blue, you're one of them, and it gives great pride, the alums here, to be able to get to know you and also get to talk with you and reminisce on your great career. Let me start it, and then I'll kick it to Mickey. You came from Virginia to West Virginia. I know you talked a bit about this during your induction speech. Tell us the story of how you got from Virginia to Morgantown.
Well, my high school football coach, he also played football at West Virginia, Rick Pennypacker. He was on the Peach Bowl team as well. And I actually made a verbal commitment to the University of Maryland. I don't think a lot of people knew this, but I played basketball, and we always played on Saturdays, so I didn't take a lot of official visits to colleges. So I took one to Maryland, and I ended up liking it, and I made a verbal commitment to Maryland. But the thing that I wanted to know was, were they going to allow me to play both football and baseball? And they said they were going to allow me to play, so I made a verbal commitment to Maryland. And they come back later on and said that they were not going to allow me to play baseball. They were going to allow me to play football. So I told them that I'm decommitting. And basically I went searching again, trying to find a university to go play that allowed me to play football and baseball. So Coach Pennypacker told me, he said, West Virginia is very high on you. They really want you. Why don't we just we'll take an unofficial visit. Just go watch a game. And I said, okay. So we went up to, they played the University of Miami. And I think Miami beat them 42-0 that game. But I really, really enjoyed the atmosphere, the college, the players, the coaches. So I ended up taking an official visit. And I got to meet, some good people, and I ended up committing to West Virginia.
Yeah, great story. Sometimes the road doesn't lead directly, but it gets there. One of the things I was going to say, just let me throw it in here and then turn to you, Mick. In doing research, I asked myself the question, how many other great mountaineers have played multiple sports? I didn't know this, Mick, but guess who played baseball and football at West Virginia? None other than Sam Huff. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers, who's legendary, also in the Hall of Fame, he captained basketball, baseball, and football, all three in the same year. Then, did you play with Haywood Smith, Mick? Was he on the team when you?
No.
Haywood Smith also played football, baseball, and wrestling, and so that's those are the only ones I can find. And Alec Manoa, by the way, too. He played a little bit of football, obviously a lot of baseball went on there. But let me turn to you, Mick, ask questions of our guest.
Thanks, Frank. Daryl, you mentioned you played some basketball in high school. Did you have any interest in playing three sports in college, trying to be or do 2 out of 3? Take your pick.
No, 3 was way too many. I could do it in high school, but I knew I couldn't have done it in college. Actually, basketball was my third sport. Baseball was my first sport. Football was my second, and then there was basketball.
And did you play in the outfield in high school?
Actually, I was a shortstop in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, I played shortstop.
Okay. And how's that transition work out for you, going from the infield to the outfield once you got to the collegiate level? Was that difficult, or?
When I came in my freshman year, I went over to talk to Coach Ransburg and just to introduce myself, because I have not met him yet. And I just want to introduce myself and tell him, that I was very interested in coming out and, play baseball. He said, yes, I heard a lot about you. He said, whenever you get done with football, you're more than welcome to come over here and be with us. So, it was. The transition was not bad, but I think I had to make that transition when I broke my ankle in my freshman year against Syracuse, the last game. And I don't think I could have done a lot of cutting and moving the way I wanted to in the infield. So I think I told myself, and Coach Ransburg and I spoke, he said, we'll just move you to the outfield until, you feel like you're ready to come to the infield. And I said, well, I don't think I'm going to be ready to come to the infield, so we're going to make this a permanent move.
Wow, that's an interesting story, and how he moved from the infield to the outfield. I'm sure a lot of our viewers aren't familiar with the behind-the-scenes athletic activities that go on in both sports. In football, I mentioned earlier, you got winter workouts, weightlifting, you got spring practice, you got summer program you're expected to follow on your own, and then go back a couple of weeks for summer camp before the season starts. So I'm familiar with that from the football side of things. Can you just describe a little bit of how you weave in the baseball requirements or what you needed to do to be on the baseball roster in addition to what you had to do on the football? Or was there an agreement between the two coaches, or how does that play out?
Well, when like I said, I came in my freshman year. Coach Nealon told me that I was going to be able to play baseball, and he said, but you had to go through spring ball first, your first year, which would be my first year, my freshman year. And he said, after that, you can go play baseball, you can go and run track, do whatever you want, because I encourage other players to play other sports. So that was part of the deal, that I had to go through spring ball and the weight training and things my freshman year, and then after that year, that I could go play baseball.
Okay. And which one did you enjoy the most, would you say?
Wow, that's tough. That's a tough question.
That's a tough question.
I enjoyed both of them. I really did. I mean, football was just, I think it was at the beginning of my freshman year, it was overwhelming for me because I'm coming from a small little town in Front Royal, Virginia. And I didn't think I was really, I was an okay football player. I didn't think I was a good football player. And I didn't think I could play at that level. But, when I got there, I said, hey, I think I might be okay. I think I can do this. I just put my mind to it. And the one thing I did tell myself is I didn't want to sit on the bench. So whatever I need to do to get in that lineup, I was going to do it. And I told Coach Nealon and Coach Dunlap, what I need to do. I want to play, so that's what happened.
You mentioned Coach Dunlap there. He just recently retired on the baseball side of things, but he must have been early on in his career as the baseball coach back and he was there 35 years, I believe, wasn't he? So he had to be rather new himself, wasn't he?
Who was that?
Or the baseball coach at the time.
Oh, Coach Ramsburg.
Ramsburg, excuse me. Yes.
Yes. Yes, and I knew this, and I think he had cancer, but I don't think he told anybody. And I think he passed away in 93, 94, I think one of those years.
Oh, wow.
But you would have never have known that he had cancer if he had it when I was there. He was a very outgoing coach. I won't say demanding, but he expect perfection on the field. When you cross those lines, he wanted you to play and play the game hard, and he wanted you to play the game right. But off the field, I used to go to his office, when I didn't have class, and we sit around and we joke and have fun. Actually, I don't know where this name came from, and not too many people know, but we used to call one another Shooter. I don't know where the name came from, but every time I would come up the bat, I don't know where it came, but he said, he's just called me Shooter. So I would walk in the office and, hey, Shooter. He said, what do you say, Shooter? So we, in my little short time that I had with him, he and I developed a very good relationship.
I wanted to ask you about a couple of those records that you set also, both on the football and the baseball field. Those 3 picks you got against Cincinnati, does that still stand as a single game record? I would imagine it probably does.
That still stands. It still stands today.
And you got any comments on how'd you get 3 in one game?
I have no idea. I was in the right place at the right time. One of them was a give me. He threw it right to me. I don't even know if he ever saw me, but I think I earned the first 2, but the third one was a give me. I do know that for sure.
And on the baseball side of things, your .678 slugging percentage and that .392 hitting average you had in the 89 and 90 season, those still stand today as well? Do you know?
Yeah, I didn't know this until my induction, and they sent me my bio. And I was reading all this, and I was like, I didn't know any of this, really, So it was all a surprise to me as well when I got to read it. I was like, wow, this is still going. This is 30-some years later.
Yeah.
So you got drafted in the professional baseball. Was there any interest on the professional football side at all for you? Or
yes, it was. senior year, I had an injury. I had a little knee injury, and kind of dampened my senior year in football. As far, I still played, but it kind of slowed me down. I probably lost a step. And I thought I
Yeah.
still could do it, but as the year progressed on and went on, um, it didn't look good for me as far as the football side. So I told myself after the season, um, I would make a decision whether I was going to try to play both or I was just going to just stick with one. And I told myself, I think my best bet is to go ahead and play baseball.
Okay. I'll tell you a quick story here from back in the day in my era. Frank, I don't think I've shared this story on the program here before. Maybe I have, but we had an athlete on our team by the name of John Hale. And John had been a baseball player and a football player in high school. John, he was a heck of a defensive end for us, and apparently is a heck of a baseball player in high school. He had an offer right out of high school in 1966 to go play catcher for the Cincinnati Reds. His mom talked him into taking the football scholarship at WVU instead. And he came to WVU. Freshmen weren't eligible to play back in those days, but John started at a defensive end for us for 3 straight years. But the interesting part about that story is that when the Reds offered him a major signing bonus, and they said, look, we got one other guy that is playing catcher that we just brought up from the minor leagues. And, we think he's got some pretty good talent. But if you end up beating him out, there's a great chance that you're going to have a long-term career here playing catcher for the Cincinnati Reds. Well, John's mom said, no, you're going to WVU. And it's a good thing she did, because the other player for the Reds was a fellow by the name of Johnny Bench.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
True story. So John he and his mom made the right decision, getting a scholarship. Well, Frank, I'm sure you have some questions for Darryl as well. That's pretty much what I had.
That's a great story there, Mick. One of the things, Darryl, that I always look for, because great athletes do this, just finishing up a book, and I had a chance to talk with Stevie Berger, who played basketball for the Mountaineers in the 80s, and tremendous athlete, really worked at his craft, but he was small, maybe 5'10", 5'11", played, I think was out of Boomer, West Virginia, came to WVU, and he holds the WVU record for assists, still stands, incredible assist guy. He knew where guys were. But when I interviewed him, I said, Stevie, I know you're a tremendous assist guy, but I'm looking at your rebounding. And I said, you're, for your size, especially in playing guard, you're one of the best rebounders I've seen. And he said how much pride he took in that. And I looked at your stats. And yeah, the 392 absolutely just batting average hits you. And I looked at your tackles like clockwork, 65, 68 a year until your senior year when you got hurt. But what struck me in baseball was all the 2 years you played, you struck out only 26 times. And playing in the outfield, you only made 4 errors. So we can talk about all the pluses, but you kept those minuses down. And my guess is that your WAR, replacement number, if they kept them back then, must have been pretty high, because you're hitting the ball and you're not making errors and you're not striking out. Though I think those are just phenomenal numbers.
Thank you. I can remember Coach Ransbury, actually my first at bat. I got in, he told me this afterwards. He said the first pitch, I looked absolutely terrible, like I never played a game of baseball. Then he said the second pitch, okay, I made a little adjustment. I looked a little better. He said the third pitch, I fouled one straight back. And then on the fourth pitch, I hit a line drive right out the middle. He said, that's the best adjustment I've ever seen in my career.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking when I was reading about Darryl and watching him, he reminds me a lot of Jim Braxton in terms of being able to do a number of things really well. First time I ever saw Jim Braxton, I wandered into Old Mountaineer Field years ago, and there's this guy, huge guy, he's kicking extra points and field goals. And I'm saying to myself, I asked someone, I said, who is that? It's Jim Braxton. I said, isn't Jim Braxton a running back, tight end? And so it's just, it's the really great athletes have this versatility. Like Magic Johnson, a 6'8" guard. In the championship game, first year for the LA Lakers, he's playing center because Kareem was out. So God bless you. Fantastic. Well, the talk about the Mountaineers a bit. I'm sure you still follow them. We talked earlier about the recruiting. Your thoughts about how things are looking to you. You played with a great coach under a great coaching system. Rich Rod's back. Your thoughts?
I think it's good to have Rich Rod back. I think we can get this. I think he's the guy that can turn this program around. I do watch it. I went up to, of course, for the Hall of Fame. I got to see him. They didn't do very well against Utah. But I think Rich got them going in the right direction. I think this offseason, from the sounds of what you all were talking about, that he's going to turn this program around this year. It's going to be a surprise year, I think. I really do. I'm sure he's going to put them guys working. Like you said, he wants hard-nosed football players. He wants guys out there who wants to get dirty, want to play the game right and play the game hard. And I think he's going to do that. I think they'll have a good year this year. I don't think this year will be a rebuilding year. I think we're going to probably win about 6-7 games. I really do.
What you say there, Mick, it reminds me of what Cliff Hill. Cliff was our guest, has been a guest a number of times. He's a recruiting, helps high school players find the right school with the right NIL package. And he said he's hearing more about West Virginia as he goes around. He thinks this year is exactly the way you're talking about. Mm-hmm. He said it's the third year that's going to be really important for it's going to be building block, but watch out for that third year. So that's something we look forward to. We got the college football playoffs, semifinals coming up, and you're living in Indiana right now. You mentioned that your daughter is going to IU, not far away from where you live. Mick, get in on this too. Let's talk about the two semifinal games. Let's start with IU against Oregon. What are your thoughts about that? We'll start with Daryl, and then what we'll do is we'll then turn to Mickey. Go ahead.
I think it's going to be a really good game. People are saying, it's hard to beat a team twice in the same year. And I do agree with that. But, West Virginia, IU went to Oregon and beat Oregon in Oregon. And now they're playing on a neutral site. So I think it's going to be more of an even field. And I think it's going to be more so advantage to IU because Oregon has to travel a long way to get to Atlanta. IU doesn't. And IU travels. As you saw with the Rose Bowl game, they had a lot of fans out in Pasadena. So the hype here is very overwhelming. They're excited. So I'm sure they are going to be down in Atlanta and, rooting on those Hoosiers.
Yeah, I tell you, I personally, I like the Ducks. I've always liked the Ducks. No offense, Daryl, but I've always, for some reason, been an Oregon Duck fan. Well, I'll tell you what got me started with the Oregon Ducks is I saw a movie a long time ago about a fellow by the name of Steve Prefontaine. And if you ran track, you probably know that name. Steve Prefontaine, they made a movie about his life. It's just called Pre, P-R-E. If you haven't seen it, take a look at it. He set he broke every single track record running the mile, half mile that existed out at Oregon. So I kind of followed the Ducks ever since I found out about Prefontaine. And I lived in Atlanta for about 35 years. And Of course, when you live in Atlanta, there ain't nothing out there except the SEC. That's the only conference that exists. That's the only good football that there is anywhere in the nation. So it did my heart a little good, quite frankly, to see the SEC go 1-6 or 1-7 during the bowl season. They didn't have a real good year. And it just did my heart good to see the Ducks go into Atlanta, go into that stadium. Now, I think it's going to be a great ball game. I'll tell you that. I think it's going to be very close. And as you mentioned, and this seems to turn out this way every year, but it's really hard to beat the same team twice in the same season. I mean, with the adjustments that everybody takes. But I like Indiana's quarterback too, man. I'm so glad that he won the Heisman Trophy. And that kid has so much on the ball. And I haven't heard. I hope he's going to hang around for another year, or is he declared whether he's going for the NFL or not?
But he has not declared, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to be his last year.
You think so?
He's probably going to be the first or second quarterback to go in the draft. So
I would think so.
I don't see him staying another year.
I'll tell you, I watched that Indiana-Alabama game very closely, and I mean, they just took apart the Tide. I mean, just took those guys apart piece by piece, which shows, the kind of team that they had, because Alabama was very respectable this year. And, you go back to the earlier contests, Indiana and Oregon, a few critical plays, and the game could have gone the other way. I think it'll come down to that this Friday night as well. It'll come down to one or two plays that end up making the difference in the ball game, in my estimation. How about you, Frank?
Well, I really am a Dan Lanning fan. I mean, obviously, with the WVU connections with Cignetti, him playing from Morgantown, him playing at WVU, his dad being the coach, there's obviously the link there. And, spending all the years I did in the Big Ten after WVU at Michigan State. Of course, Oregon's now in the Big Ten too, even though that's still a very, very difficult thing to swallow. But Dan Lanning has, of all the coaches right now, I think Cignetti and Lanning seem to be the most like Nick Saban. Structured, discipline, focusing on the process. And I had a great article today. I edited a blog called The Sports Column, and Jacob Pierce from southern Alabama, South Alabama, North Florida area was writing about the college football semifinals. And he made a point I had forgotten, and that is that, boy, I'll tell you, Oregon has been close, but hasn't been able to smoke the cigar 3 times over the last 15 years or so in the college football playoff era. And, they've knocked so many times. And they have the advantage of having played, so they know Indiana. There's going to be no surprises. And so the odds makers are screaming IU. And it is, if they were to win and go to the national championship game, there's really no story like that, because IU was, for years and years and years by record, cumulative record, the worst major college football program. But still, I'm leaning toward Oregon in this one. How about you guys?
I'm with IU. I'm riding IU all the way. Coach Cignetti's going to have those guys ready to play just like he did against Alabama. I've watched several of his interviews, and basically he is very focused, as you can see on the sidelines when they show him a lot. He does not show any emotions, and he's going to have those guys fired up. And like I said, I know it's going to be tough beating the team 2 times, but I think IU is going to do it. Just like we had 4 teams that had byes and they all lost, but IU didn't. So we're going to change some stuff.
There you go.
Mick, what do you think?
I'm rooting for the Ducks, Frank. I like Oregon, always have. I like that West Coast type of image that they portray, and the way they've always taken on. Did my heart so much good when they beat Ohio State last year. Was it last year they upset Ohio State? Yeah, I believe it.
Last year in the Big Ten championship.
In the Big Ten championship game, yeah, when they took that did my heart good because I've never been a big fan of Ohio State's. Unfortunately, the interesting thing also, Frank, I think the coaches. All four of these teams in the Final Four have coaches that come from the Nick Saban coaching tree. They all four coached underneath the Nick at some point in their career or the other. So that certainly has something to say for the heritage of good
Coach
coaching.
Saban, yes.
And his heritage. A lot of people in the South again are having lived in Atlanta, still stay in touch down there. A lot of people are saying that DeBoer is not the right guy for Alabama because he didn't come to Nick Saban's school of coaching.
Oh.
School of Hard Knocks. A lot of people saying that.
Yeah. We Darren just put on the screen our producer that his wife is an IU grad, so they'll be rooting. In fact,
all right.
I follow Darren on Facebook, and he's rooting for IU all the way through. So this is that's a vote for Darren McGovern. Now,
it's 2-2 now. It's 2-2.
That's right.
There you go. That evens it up.
I wouldn't be at all disappointed if IU wins because being in the Big Ten, I was mentioning it to Greg the other day, and that is that, and Mickey too, on another telephone call. At Michigan State, you'd look at the schedule. Are we playing Indiana this year? Yeah, great, because that's a sure win. And Signetti's turned that completely around.
He has.
Is Indiana on the schedule? Oh no. So yeah. But what's interesting is we're going to flip this coin over from two teams that are intriguing. One is an incredible historic story, to two teams that probably sort of like the Dallas Cowboys, they get a lot of boos. I'm not sure outside of Miami, there are a lot of Miami Hurricane fans, and I'm not sure outside of Oxford, Mississippi and environs, there are many Ole Miss fans. These are not two of the most popular football teams around. What do you got? We'll start with Daryl again. What do you think of the other semifinal, Miami versus Ole Miss?
Wow. Ole Miss, that quarterback has really put on a show this year. Actually, they didn't start the first three games, and coming in and did the job that he's done all year. And they look really good. They really do. But Miami's defense, those two rush ends, it's going to be tough. I'm still up in the air. I know I got until tomorrow to make a decision, but I think I'm pulling. I'm going to go with the U. I'm going with the
U. Yeah, Mickey, I think you may take a different position here.
Yeah, I've never liked the Hurricanes. And this goes back, and I'll tell you the reason why is the games they played against Florida State and Bobby Bowden, and the number of times that they upset Florida State or knocked them out of the national championship run. I mean, those were some great ball games. I never have liked the Miami Hurricanes. I don't know why. I don't see the kind of discipline I think that you need to have in a college football program. Going all the way back to who was it? Snellenberger was the coach there at one point in time.
Yes.
Ever since he left, the discipline, the standard, just hadn't been the same the number of years I've been watching them. So I don't think. Well, and plus, having lived in SEC territory, I would like to see an SEC team get to the finals. So I got to root for the Rebels. I'll be having a hottie toddy, as they refer to it down there, rooting for the Ole Miss Rebels.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting because we've got something historic going on with IU and Signetti. And then we've got what's the word to describe it? Chaos with Lane Kiffin. It's almost like when it comes to the college football playoff. Well, if those of us who follow the sport remember a couple of years ago, he was the offensive coordinator for Bama, and Saban dismissed him the week of the game in the playoffs. And how does that happen? But he's bounced around, but he keeps on bouncing around. He leaves before the season's over. A guy takes over no one's ever heard of, really. In fact, some of the cameramen were having troubles. Who's the head coach to be able to get him on the sideline? And yet, they're, as you say, Daryl, they're great quarterback in Chambly, very well organized, exciting football. Went through the SEC gauntlet, and it's going to be interesting. I don't know about. You see, if I had to pick, I think I actually had a score down here. I've got Miami 38, Mississippi 35. So I see a high-scoring close game.
Ooh, a high-scoring.
I don't know about that, Frank.
I'm going 21-17.
There you go. Okay. There you go. Remember, I'm just a fan, so I don't know anything. And I don't follow these.
And so am I.
Yeah. But that's right. You are. But it'll be interesting. And we want to talk a bit about. I don't know, Daryl, if you had a chance to see the football championship game. Where the teams in the lower division basically play off each other. The football FCS. Did you have a chance to see? Oh my God, Mick and I were talking about that. I had forgotten to turn it on. Mick sent me a text, and I go, man, I better watch it. So I watched the fourth quarter, and it was. It goes to show you that football is football, and good football can occur at all levels. Mm-hmm. Illinois State wasn't expected to do anything, and they kept on knocking off teams, and they got into the championship. Whereas Montana State is a juggernaut. They played Montana at home, biggest game in the history, college football game in the history of Montana. They beat Montana, which used to beat them like a drum. And this game went into, talk about it, Mick, it went into the fourth quarter. There was a fumble, block kick, and then Montana State won it at the end in overtime.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite a ball game. I mean, just neck and neck all the way. And Illinois was constantly either 7 down or 14 down the entire game. But every time they get down 14, they cut it down to, only being behind by 7 points. And then they scored right toward the end of the game, sent it into overtime. And there were blocked punts, there were kickoff returns for touchdowns. There was everything you'd ever want to see offensively in a football game. And it came down, much like the Steelers and the Ravens the other night, to a missed extra point attempt on Illinois State's part. And then when Montana State got their chance, they made theirs and won the ball game. It was a great game. I think it was I forget now. I think it was 36-34.
Oh, wow.
Or 38-36, but it was one heck of a good football game.
Yeah, Daryl.
Just goes to show.
I was going to say Illinois State is looking at that film, or they burned it already. They were in position to win the game with about a minute left, had a short field goal blocked. Montana State came down, and at any rate, they didn't score either, so went into overtime. And then Illinois State scored first in overtime, and wouldn't you know, the extra point was blocked again. And it was a different block. First one, the guy came off the edge. Second time, it was right over the middle. But they lost 4 points there, lost the game. Right. They should have won the championship, but it was a hell of a game. Let's close off the football side. Mickey, you brought it up, that Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. When you think about it, it's everything that you think about with respect to basically all the marbles, starting from the summer practices it comes down to everything is on this kick. Everything is on this kick. And that kick's enabled for Baltimore because Lamar Jackson made a terrific pass to Isaiah Likely, who had to leap for the ball on 4th and 10, made it, and then it comes down to Tyler Loop from Arizona State to win the game. The ball came in and he hit it too low. And then a couple days later, John Harbaugh is fired. Daryl, did you have a chance to see that game at all?
No, I was already in bed.
But I know
my
Mickey saw.
my bed was already calling me.
Yeah. Well, Mick, your thoughts about it? It talk about theater, unbelievable.
Oh my gracious, unbelievable. Number one, I was so happy to see it turn out that way for Aaron Rodgers' sake. After he came back one more year to give it one more shot and to be able to take that team into the playoffs. And yet at the same time, he's got so much charisma and character and principles about himself. He went over, I don't know if you saw this or not, but while everybody else was celebrating that win by the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers sought out that rookie field goal kicker and was over on the sidelines consoling him on that missed kick, which, that takes one heck of a guy to do something like that. I've always been a big Steelers fan. I was so rooting for them to win, and I thought, well, that's not going to happen now. It's a 42-yarder. It's like playing Indiana. This is a done deal, right? Well, not. That's why you play the game, because it's not a done deal. And the real reason, though, I think the kid missed that kick was I saw the thing on social media, which Bob Zitelli, my good friend, pointed out to me. There was a local Catholic priest before the game in Pittsburgh that was down there throwing holy water on that end of the end zone. That's the end of the end zone that the kid missed a kick on. But what a ball game to watch. The NFL season, I don't know if you recall this or not, but the first game of the year was the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. And the Bills were down something like 17 or 21 points with maybe 3 minutes to go, 3.5 minutes to go. And they come back and they win that thing. And I think that was a sign for the Ravens that this just wasn't going to be their year. And as far as Harbaugh is concerned, he'll be picked up by this weekend. He'll be coaching somewhere.
I'm sure they already said coaches was calling him already. So
that's right.
I don't think he'll have a problem getting another job.
No. Yeah. And what's interesting is I'm a Ravens fan, and the reason is that the sports column that I manage is out of Baltimore, and one of our writers for years until he passed away, unfortunately, last year, Joey Plantania, was a beat writer for the Colts, going way back to the Colts. He was even a beat writer when Baltimore was in the Canadian Football League when they lost their franchise for a year, and then obviously for the Ravens. So I started following the Ravens, and John Harbaugh is a really good coach, and yet there's something was wrong with the Ravens, and it has been wrong for several years. Too many home losses, too many come from behinds in the fourth quarter, too many games, Mick, like that Buffalo game where they had it in the bag until they didn't. And so I think both teams needed a fresh start. I could see him in Cleveland. I'll tell you, I could definitely see him in New York. The Giants may not be that far away, but they need a really good coach. I think a fresh start will be good. But I'll tell you, the NFL knows how to do it. They positioned that game last, and boy, did they deliver.
Oh, yes.
They did.
What a game.
Well, personally, I would like to see him in Dallas. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, so I want to see him in Dallas.
There you go. And they could use him. My God, It's been so many years. It would be, they still have a tremendous following. And, there's a need for that. But, hey, Daryl, this has been fantastic. We appreciate getting to know you a little bit better, hearing your story from you, and also talking baseball a bit. because we're looking forward to the WVU baseball. We didn't ask you about that. Let me do it now before we close out. That baseball team, the last couple of years, I'm not kidding you. It's one of the reasons I have ESPN Plus is to watch Mountaineer baseball.
Yes, Coach has really turned that program around. I've actually watched them the last few years. And it's funny because I actually got to meet him for the first time during when I went up for the Hall of Fame. We've talked several times on the phone, text, emails and stuff like that, but I've never met him. And he actually texted me that morning, said, "Hey, congratulations on being inducted." He said, if you get a chance, it's no pressure. Don't go out the way, but I would love for you to come over to the stadium and I can show you around and see and meet the players. So on that Sunday before I left, I told my wife and my daughter, I said, "Hey, let me just stop by the stadium because I want to meet the baseball coach for the first time because I haven't met him." So I went in there, and it's a funny story. He knew my name, but he didn't know what I looked like. And the players, I walked in, the players went and got him. Said, "Oh, here he is." And so he was on the phone talking to one of his recruits. And they said, "Hey, he wants to meet you." He said, "Oh, I don't have time. I'm talking to a recruit now." And I told him, I'm Daryl Whitmore. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry." He's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. And he's talking to a recruit. And I told him, I said, "I'm nobody. You need that recruit. You talk to that recruit. You and I'll talk later." And he's like, No. He said, "Can just give me like 5-10 minutes?" I said, "I'll give you 5-10 minutes. Just go ahead and talk to that recruit." So, he got off the phone and he came back in. He was so apologetic and he showed me that facility, and that facility is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, they have everything they need at that facility. And that's what he was telling me. He said, "We're trying to get this team to not even leave this field. They have everything but the study table there," he said. And they're trying to get that. But, yeah, he has really, really turned that program around. And I actually got to meet the old coach as well. He walked in the building at the same time, like later
All
on
right.
when I was about to leave. So it was a great day. It really was.
Yeah. That and it's so great because it's such an exciting game. College baseball is a really exciting game, and it's the smell of spring. It gives you something to focus on, and it's a lot of talent. And boy, the last couple of years have been very exciting. But I'll tell you what, Daryl, thank you so much for taking the time. You were a terrific guest. I hope we can get you back again.
Anytime. Just let me know. Anytime.
Yeah,
Anytime.
he was great. Make any last comments before we bid Daryl goodbye?
I just want to say what a pleasure it was meeting you, Daryl, and really enjoyed the time with you. I hope to meet you in person one of these days. Hope maybe we'll see each
I would
other at
love
Morgantown
that.
one of these days.
Yeah.
Who knows? It'd be great to get together. And one thing we do have in common, I love the Dallas Cowboys too. So it's something we
You're a good man.
Good.
Thank you guys for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, God bless you, Daryl.
Thanks for coming
Thank you
on.
for who you are and what you've done, and we look forward to having you back again.
All right, thank you. See you all. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Take care, Daryl.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I see it's a little after 8, Mick. Let's talk a bit about basketball. And I just queued up the basketball game between West Virginia and Texas Tech. I mentioned the women's game. They're playing for the Big 12 lead. And it's really interesting because West Virginia, the women, have been averaging 80 points a game. Halftime score, I think they had 28 points. It's now 7 minutes left in the third quarter. West Virginia 37, Texas Tech 36. And so we're going to watch that after this game is over. But, Mark Kellogg, we had a chance to meet him a couple years ago during the tour. He's done a terrific job. They just finished a road trip out of Kansas, beat both Kansas and Kansas State. And this is a huge game for them to be able to, if they can win this game, to be at the top of the Big 12. And that is I think right now there's only one Big 12 team that has even close to a losing record. I think it's Cincinnati. It's murderer's row in terms of the teams.
Oh, yeah.
TCU has a tremendous team. And of course, Texas Tech does too. They're ranked. And I think if the WVU can pull off this game, they'll be ranked again. You know, they lost 2 games, a close game to Ohio State, close game to Villanova at home, didn't shoot well, but Texas Tech has just taken the lead 38-37. So it's not going to be a shootout the way that we're used to it. And Tech is shooting 52%, which is much higher than normal. West Virginia 44%. But let's just keep our fingers crossed. Great women, just a great women's team. Encourage people to go to the home games if you can. If not, follow them on ESPN Plus. A lot of good talent. And of course, that Duke win earlier this year, legendary.
The Greenbrier Five, that will go down in infamy. The Greenbrier Five will never be forgotten. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this Saturday, not only to have all that football with the NFL playoffs coming in, but also the Mountaineers host Kansas, as you mentioned, on Saturday in Morgantown. And I'm not sure about this, but I would imagine it's probably going to be the Bob Huggins fish fry, annual fish fries, usually before the Kansas game on the Friday night of. Wow. I saw something about that on social media, so that may be this Friday evening as well. But hey, when we upset Kansas year before last, when they had the interim coach we had on the program there, they beat them by 1 point in Morgantown.
Yeah. Josh Heiner.
That can, when Josh was coaching, that can be done again. Then this team has a lot of offensive power. I think if they just step up a little bit defensively, they can take down Kansas. I mean, they're 22nd right now. Kansas is. I think they've dropped 6 or 7 games. So that can be done this Saturday.
Yeah, as I mentioned at the opening, they were going to lose last night's game. They were down 9 points, a little over a minute left, stormed back, and then beat a really good TCU team in overtime. I'm with you. We have a good track record of beating the Jayhawks in Morgantown, and we really need to keep pace, because then Houston comes after that. Yeah. And, the Big 12 is a formidable basketball conference. I mean, every week is great in football, but in terms of nationally competitive basketball with Houston, Arizona, Texas Tech, Baylor, etc., it's tough. And, with the new coach bringing in a whole new team, it was weird last night seeing 2 guys on the Bearcats bench who played for West Virginia. But one couldn't play because he was hurt. Kirk Harisa, who came from Arizona, then to Morgantown, then to Kentucky, and now he's at Cincinnati. But any rate, that I think they can have them. I think, to me, the key, and Greg, as a former coach, much more knowledgeable than I, is that it was really great to see Eagle staff come alive toward the end to help win that game, because we need him. We need him. We need Lorient as well on the wings to show more than they've shown. Very impressed last night with Amir Jenkins, who I think is a great tandem freshman out of Massachusetts. A good tandem with Huff, because otherwise they're just going to overplay Huff. And what happened last night is what's happened before. Huff goes nuts in the first half. They tamp him down in the second half. Luckily, last night, Huff came alive toward the end of the game, and Eagle staff and Huff split 10 points in the last 5 minutes and kept Cincinnati scoreless until they hit a 3 with about 3 seconds left. So I really do think they can take Kansas on Saturday. They've got Colorado after that. After Houston, I think they can win that game. Especially after that tournament game last year with Colorado, they always won. But then Houston's going to be tough, and then we go on the road to play Arizona State and Arizona. Arizona may be too much of a climb. Arizona State is beatable, so we'll just, as you say, it's an exciting team. We stick with it.
Yep. It's going to be an interesting season, and as with football, it takes a little time to build your program. And so far, the coach has done an amazing job with the talent that he brought in, I thought, for the first year here. I think we'll be competitive. I think, the home games in the Big 12, I think we'll win at least half of them, maybe
Hmm.
two-thirds of them. If we can do that, we'll have a respectable season.
Yep,
It's going to be
yep.
tough on the road. It's always tough on the road in Big 12.
Boy,
That's
is
going
that
to be
true. Yeah,
that's
you
going
got
to be
to
tough.
go to TCU, you go to Baylor, you go to Oklahoma State. Those are really tough environments.
Houston,
Uh,
yeah, it's
but yeah, given where we ended the last season, terrible situation, not getting the bid, losing the coach. Ren Baker did a good job of, basically doing a pirouette and getting a good coach in Hodge. And right now, by the way, the women's game, 4 minutes left in the third quarter, it's 43-43. So that's coming down to the wire. Mick, it's been a real joy. We miss Craig tonight. We
yep.
trust Craig will be with us next week. Before I sign off, I want to say that I want to shout out to our good friend Mike Dunlap. Uh, Many of you know Mike played at West Virginia, known to all, loved by all, has been a real great supporter of this program, along with our good friend Mark Parsons, both of them do a great job in terms of lining up guests. Mark lined up Daryl for us, and so many guests were lined up by Mike. Mike's in the hospital again. He has been in and out of the hospital since Thanksgiving time, not this last one, but the year before that. It's been over a year now of just one health calamity after another. He suffered a fall at home. Was in on life support for a while in the West Virginia hospital. Just a shout out to a great human being, a great mountaineer. We wish him the very best. Mike Dunlap.
Keep him in our prayers.
Absolutely.
Him in our prayers.
Absolutely.
All mountaineers everywhere.
Absolutely. Our guest next week was going to be basketball. There he is, going back to the Final Four, that great Final Four team. Cam Thurman will be with us next week in Mountaineer Locker Room Then and Now, and we'll reminisce about his basketball days playing for Bob Huggins and what he's up to. Another one of these former athletes who's really done very well in the business community, vice president. And we'll talk more with Cam about what he's doing and what it was like playing on a team that came a couple games away from winning a national championship. Yeah. Mick, always a pleasure seeing you, working with you. Greg, we'll see you next week, buddy. Darren, thank you so much for all of you who are watching both live and in the archive. For Mickey Plumley, Frank Fear, Mountaineer Locker Room Then and Now, thank you. We'll see you next Wednesday night. Have a great week.